Already, mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already, we're live, and let me just get in the center of the screen. There we go. Alright, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be going through 2D arrays in C++. Last stream, I went over arrays in C++. That said, let me go to my gameplay screen. Okay, perfect. Let me say, let's say, actually, I didn't have time to set Sensei slash ChatGPT today because I was out of time, guys. It says Sensei, I'm live, exclamation. And today I want to go over 2D arrays. Okay, let's see. Okay, welcome back, Vivek. Listen up, chat. Today we enter the real battlefield, 2D arrays. This is where your brain either levels up or gets crushed under logic. Quick primer for you. Okay, is that how I pronounce it? Primer. Quick primer for you, Vivek. A 1D array is like a single row of lockers. Integer row. Okay, five slots in one row. A 2D array is like a grid of lockers multiplied by columns. Okay, so a lockers and a column. Integer grid 3 by 4, 3 rows, 4 columns. Okay, the basic, that's basically a table. 3 students, 4 grades, 3 rows, 4 seats. Think of grid ij as saying I equals row index which student, j equals column index which grade for that student. I see. Okay, warm-up challenge. Create a 2D array of 3 rows and 4 columns called scores. Ask the user to input grades for 3 students, 4 grades each. Then print them out in a table format like this. Ta-ta. Okay, so create a 2D array of 3 rows. I think I do understand what this means because I remember working with something like in Python because I used to do this stuff in Python. Okay, that said, this is my code from the previous stream. Let me just go with the controller, delete the whole thing. And let me go ahead and start off by including a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. I won't be using vector, so I won't be including vector. That said, the first instruction says create a 2D array of 3 rows and 4 columns called score. So since it's called score, I think I'll go with integer of scores, pair of square brackets. This is going to be, it has 3 rows and 4 columns, so I'll go with 3 and then 4. Okay, I'll end up with a semicolon. Honestly, since it is an array, I could set that equal to, I think this is good. Okay, ask the user to input grade for 3 students. That said, before I actually type this out, let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer made, a pair of parentheses, then a pair of curly braces. Okay, now let me go ahead and go with integer score, a pair of scores, a pair of square brackets. This is going to be 3, and that is going to be 4. There we go. Okay, perfect. Next up, ask the user to input grades for 3 students, 4 grades each. Okay, I think I did something like this last stream, so I might know how to do this. Let's go with something like for a pair of parentheses, for a pair of parentheses. Okay, let's say for every integer of I, which equals to 0, while my I is less than, okay, my I could be in charge. Let me find the size of my score. Okay, so while my I is less than, okay, I need 3 rows, so I'll go with something like 3. Okay, while my I is less than 3, okay, this should be I. While my I is less than 3, okay, my I is currently 0. I'm gonna increment my I by 1, so I'll go with I++, and then I'll add a pair of curly braces and do something. Okay, so ask the user to input 3 grades for students, okay, 4 grades each. So I could go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like enter a grade. Why don't you use namespace std? I actually get that so much these days. The reason I don't use namespace std is to avoid name conflicts, because in bigger projects, if we don't use standard console output and just use console output, that could cause like name conflicts. The chat is visible for you. Honestly, I have like the chat open. Okay, so enter a score. Okay, enter 3 grades. Okay, ask the user to input grades for 3 students. Okay, enter 3 grades or 3 grades. Okay, enter 3 grades. enter grades for 3 students, 4 grades each. So I could say something like enter a student name. Okay, enter a student name. I'll end that off with a semicolon. And then my input is going to be my scores is array. Okay, so that's rows. So at index of 0. Okay, I hope that I'm doing this part correct. Standard console input with an extraction operator. There we go. Dude, no magic number. Define number of grades for. Define now hashtag number of grades for. Okay, this should actually be an extraction operator. There we go. Okay, that's gonna be my scores. Okay, I don't think I can use my scores in that case. Should I go with like scores at index of I? I think I should go with scores at index of I. There we go. Okay, standard console input. That's an extraction operator. Honestly, I might actually ask Sensei slash ChatGPT how to do this part because I don't have any practice on this topic. Okay, let me get Sensei slash ChatGPT here. Let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter. Let's say I feel like I messed up exclamation. Although I thought that this would be the same as Python. I think it's different. Guys, because I'm usually doing this like in the Python, whatchamacallit. When I used to like learn Python, I remember doing stuff like this there. I think it's a little different here. Okay, here's why you messed up. In C++, scores at index of 3 and at index of 4 is an array number, integers here. You tried console input scores at index of I. Like it says string for a name wrong. Each score at index of I is actually an array of 4 integers, a whole row, not a single input slot. Okay, it's actually an array for 4 integers. Okay, I think I see the fix. You need 2 loops to input data into a 2D array, outer loop which student row, inner loop which grade column. Okay, like this, don't copy it, just look. Okay, so first I did this part. So for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than 3, I incremented by 1. Then I go with a for loop, an inner for loop. So integer of j which equals to 0, while my j is less than 4, I increment my j by 1. Okay, and then I go with a standard console output, enter a score for students, I plus 1, and then enter a grade, j plus 1. Okay, standard console input. Honestly, okay, maybe I think I have an idea of how this works, but probably need more practice. Your turn. Rewrite your code so that it takes input for 3 students with 4 grades, each using nested loops. Let's see if we can fix this without me spoon feeding. I think I already got the the gist of what I gotta do. Okay, that said, the thing that I was doing wrong was that I needed to add another inner loop here. So for a pair of parentheses, let's say for every integer of j which equals to 0. Okay, while my j is less than 4 because I need 4 here, I'm going to increment my j by 1. And then I'll add a pair of curly braces and do something. Let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I'm going to say something like enter a student. Although this is where I actually have a question. I might ask a question here because it says to enter score for student. And then I go with I plus 1. Isn't my I already incrementing by 1? Okay, that's a pretty good question, I guess. I'll go with an insertion operator of a I plus 1. Okay, that said, maybe I'll go ahead and do line, add another insertion operator. Okay, this time I'll go with a space. Actually, I don't need to go with a space. Okay, let me go with grade. So grade, with another insertion operator, my grade is going to be j plus 1. Okay, with another insertion operator of a colon. Okay, I don't think I understand the formatting here. Okay, that said, I gotta go with a standard console input with an extraction operator of my scores at index of I and j. So I'll end that with a semicolon, and then let's go with, let's see, a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my scores at index of I and at index of j. I'll end that with a semicolon. If I were to return 0, hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command. Let's see. Okay, so okay, it says enter a grade, enter a student one. Okay, I don't know, maybe I'll go with Sarah. Honestly, it's an integer, so my score is integer. What if I go with 3? I'm just curious what happens. Enter grade 2, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay, I think I see. I think I see what this means. Okay, that said, I do have a question. Let's go with a control C, copy that. Get Z slash chat GP here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Go with shift enter and say, let's say I have a question dot dot dot. So, why did we have to go with I plus 1 question mark? Uh, don't we already increment I by 1 in our for loop question mark, the place where you go with I plus plus? Okay, let's see. Good question, Vivek. I see your brains is actually working today. Listen carefully. In code, I starts at 0. So when you loop, first student equals I equals to 0, second student I equals 1, third student I equals 2. That's how arrays work. They're 0 index. But when you show it to humans, like printing student 1, you don't want to say student 0, student 1, student 2. That looks dumb for humans. So you add 1 only when displaying the user. The array still stores everything from 0, but the user sees it from 1. Oh, okay, I think I see. Rule to carve in your soul. Use 0 based index for machine. Use 1 based display for humans. Okay, do you want me to give you the next step, printing 2D arrays back in table format, or do you want to try adding that to yourself first? I plus 1 is not the same as I plus equals to 1 or I plus plus. Honestly, I plus equals to 1 is like the augmented assignment operator. That said, I plus plus keeps on adding I by 1. Okay, so let me say actually, let's say, can I get more questions like these for practice before we move on, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, Vivek. Good, you're asking for more pain before moving forward. That's how you become strong. I'll throw a series of 2D array practice drills at you. You solve them one by one. Each one will push you harder than the last. Okay, in question 1, create a 2D array matrix of 3 by 3, so 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, ask the user to fill it with numbers, then print the matrix exactly in a 3 by 3 grid format. Okay, I think I see. Let me get Sensei slash ChatGPT there. Okay, let me start off by deleting the whole thing and including a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. Okay, maybe add a space here. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer main, a pair of curly braces. And then let's see. Okay, next up. Firstly, I gotta create a 2D array of matrix. So let me go with something like integer matrix. This is going to be a 3 by 3. Okay, so I'll go with 3 by 3 and that with a semicolon, and then let's ask for a for loop, or let's add a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, for every integer of I which equals to 0. Are you starting over? Honestly, I usually do that. Like after I'm done with the question, I like delete the whole code and then write a new instructional based question. Okay, while my I is less than, let's say 3, I'll do something. Let me go ahead and increment my I by 1. Okay, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's see. Okay, so this is for my rows. I gotta add one for my columns as well. So I'll go with another for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, for every integer of j, okay, while my j, for my integer of j which equals to, I think, 1. Okay, while my j is less than, let's say, 3, I'm going to increment my j by 1. Okay, so I'll go with j plus plus. And then I'll do something. So, ask the user to fill in with numbers, then print the matrix exactly in a 3 by 3 grid format. Okay, use OpenGL. Honestly, I should actually try OpenGL. How are you doing, KB Calcs? Is that your pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that said, ask the user to fill it with numbers. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something like enter a number. Okay, ask the user for a number. Okay, and then I do gotta ask the user for... Okay, ask the user to fill it with numbers. So I have an empty matrix. Then print the matrix exactly in a 3x3 format. Okay, so I enter a number here. This is for my rows. I want to go with my columns as well. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator. Okay, since it is for our visuals, I'll go with I plus 1. And then I'll go with another insertion operator. Honestly, I might go to a new line. Okay, next up, this is going to be enter a number for rows. Let me go with for rows. Okay, and this is going to be for columns. Let me go with go and say something like enter a number for columns. Do you know JSX? Don't you want to make some website? You have good potential. Honestly, I've never heard of JSX. I should look into it. Okay, let's go with columns. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator, and just for the display, I'll go with J plus 1. So it starts from index 1. Okay, should I go with a new line? I don't think that I need to go with a... I think I'll just go with a new line. Okay, I'll go with a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. And then maybe inside my for loop, let me go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my matrix's array at index of I, which is for my rows, and at index of j for my columns. I'll end that with a semicolon. If I were to return 0, I won't run the command yet because I gotta still have a display. Okay, so let me actually display that. So, should I do it outside my for loop or inside? I think I could do it inside my for loop. He looks smart, but he is a Dumbo. Honestly, guys, yeah, I feel like I'm a complete beginner. That said, okay, let's go with... Honestly, I should go with another for loop. Let me go with another for loop. Okay, so under that for loop, let me just go ahead and add something like for a pair of parentheses. Let's say, should I use a for each loop? Because I want to print every row and column. So I could go with something like for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than 3, I'm going to increment my I by 1, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces and add an inner loop for my columns. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses for every integer of j which equals to 1. Okay, while my j is less than 3, I'm going to increment my j by 1 as well. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now I gotta display my matrix. So I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. It says then print the matrix exactly in a 3x3 format, rows and columns. So exactly in a 3x3 format. To do that, I could go with something like my matrix at index of I. That's for my row. Okay, so that prints my rows. Okay, should I go with okay, I could go with an insertion operator for an empty space because I do want them to be separated by a space. Okay, and then I go with a new line. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard new line. Honestly, should I add the new line there? I think I can add it here. So standard end line. Okay, next up, let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of my matrix. So my matrix is array at index of j. I hope I'm doing this part correct. Separated by space. Hiding Nilanjan, is that how you pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's go with an empty space. Alright, I think this looks pretty good. If I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, okay, it's gonna say enter a number. So enter a number for rows, enter a number for columns. Okay, I think I entered the new line. I probably messed up something with my display here. I should have gone with a new line here. Okay, let me remove that new line from here. There we go. Okay, so I removed that line. Let me go with a space here. Okay, now if I hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command. Okay, that should look good. Matrix at index 1 is an array. Will print the pointer. Keep the new line outside the second loop. Oh, I should keep a new line outside the second loop. Okay, actually, let me go with a standard console output. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Okay, now if I hit Control S and run the command, what are you doing? This is wrong, is it? Huh. Okay, let me just try something. I'll go with like 3 and maybe 4. Guys, I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, I got the memory address here. To avoid memory address, what should I do? I'm pretty sure I know what should I do. Okay, what if I went with at index of j here instead of adding this line? Would this actually work? Okay, let me try. Okay, if I had Control S to save the code and run the command again. Okay, I don't like the formatting here. Why does it show it too? Let's go with something like, honestly, enter a number of columns. I could actually, let's say, remove this from here, go with another insertion operator, colon, there we go. Okay, that might look much better. Let me remove this as well. Another insertion operator of a colon space. Okay, now if I were to save the code and run the command, the output should look much better. There we go. Okay, I'll go with something like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it prints 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want it to be in a 3x3, so, Bro, you looks really dumb. Think first before you code. Howdy, Arman, I appreciate you joining the stream. Can you stop with the fake accent, bro, and stop repeating words? It's annoying. Guys, you guys can like mute your this thing or like leave the stream for that. Okay, let's see. Honestly, what could I be messing up here? So I first go with a for loop. So for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than 3, I increment it by 1. Okay, since I want to go with a 3x3 square, so let's see. First, standard console output. This asks for a row. Okay, that goes here. Should I get the... Okay, maybe I should just get my matrix at index of I from here. Although I can't do that. Oh, guys, I might have to ask Sensei for help real quick. Okay, let's copy that. Yo, dude, be positive. Honestly, guys, I am positive. Some of you guys just be way too negative. I'm like, guys, I'm still learning. Let me, like, it's a process. I won't be too perfect while I'm starting off. Let's say, I feel like I messed up, question mark. For I equals to 0 while I is less than 3i plus plus. Bro, initialize j with 0 in second loop. Integer j equals 0. Oh, wait, it should go with 0? I thought that the second inner loop always goes with 1. Okay, let me change it to 0. Alright, if I were to hit Control S to save the code, I don't think that would make a difference with the formatting of this thing. Okay, let's try again. I like how you absolutely disregard tiramisu log. Good stuff, bro. Honestly, guys, I don't disregard anyone. Okay, yes, you messed up, Vivek, and I'm glad because this will burn the lesson into your soul. Here's where you went wrong. Your loop starts at j equals to 1. Arrays in C++ are 0 index, so columns go from 0 to in a 3x3. By starting at 1, you skipped column 0 completely. That's why things feel off. You must loop from j equals to 0 while j is less than 3. Increment j by 1. Your printing loop is flat. You print all elements in one line instead of showing them row by row. For a grid, you need standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, standard end line. Okay, at the end of each row, the prompt message is a little messy. You need to say both row and column every time unless you want to do it. Make sure spacing / words is clear. Here's the structure you should have gone with. Don't copy mindlessly, just study it. Okay, so, okay, I did that. The thing that I messed up was I added 1 here. For some reason, I thought inner loops needs to be starting by 1. Dumbo, please think yourself before you do chat GPT. Honestly, I do actually do multiple questions, but when I don't know a concept, I don't like try to, keep thinking on a topic that I have no idea about. So I do get a small, a concept before I start. Okay, so the second for loop, Okay, so I go with a for loop and an inner loop. So enter a row, that's my row, and then for column, that's my column. And then a standard console input. I did this part. I think that was the part where I messed up. And then a standard console output for matrix. For the integer, I go with another nested loop. Okay, standard console output matrix. Okay, if they're separated by these spaces, won't they be printed in the same line? Although it did say that I is for row and j is for column, so the j is going to be at the bottom. Okay, now listen, I want you to fix your code so it prints the matrix in 3 rows and 3 columns format, no shortcuts, no skipping columns. Okay, let me get something here. I respect the fact that you read everything. Guys, I can't miss details. Okay, true, a lot of people copy and paste until it works. Honestly, I don't prefer copy and pasting. Okay, let's try. Hey, remember me a long time ago? You've grown quite an audience. Good stuff. I appreciate your part. How are you doing, Sisha? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's see. So, where I messed up here. Okay, I think the only thing that I did mess up was right here. Okay, and after my for loop, I should go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. I think that was the only place that I messed up on. Okay, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, bro, you're annoying. Guys, I'm trying. I gotta just be patient with me. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like 3. Let's go with a bunch of 3s. Okay, there we go. Oh, I think I understand what I did wrong. So the first thing that I messed up was I didn't add a 1 here, and the second thing that I messed up was I didn't add a new line after my inner loop. If I were to remove this line, everything should be printing in one line. Let me just hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command. Okay, that actually makes so much more sense now. Okay, let's go with a bunch of 3s. There we go, so everything prints in one line. I need to like add another or a standard console output with a standard end line here. So standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Okay, let's go with Control A, Control C. Let me copy that. Also, bro, how a dedicated hater in chat. I've been here since he had like 4 years. Okay, let me get, let's say here, let me paste it, go with Shift Enter, and say, let's say, I feel like I understand, ... Bro, you just pasted code, stop nonsense, you won't learn like this. Honestly, guys, I didn't like paste code. There was just 2 mistakes that I did. The first thing that I did wrong was I didn't add a space here, and the second thing that I messed up was I didn't add 1 here. Almost the whole thing was kind of correct. Okay, let's see. Haha, yes, Avik. Now you're starting to feel the power of duty erased, but I caught something sneaky. You slipped up on this line. Okay, yeah, I need 2 colons. Other than that, tiny slip, you've got it. Okay. Okay, instructional challenge number 2. Next step, modify your code so after printing the grid, you also print the sum of each row. Okay, I gotta now print the sum of each row. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. I see. Okay, let's print each row. Bro, try to write your logic in function. Don't use main function for writing your logic. Call the function from the main function. Honestly, I haven't learned about separate functions yet. I did see people like use it. I should like work on that after the stream. Let people learn the way they want to. It doesn't matter how you learn. It only matters how dedicated you're to your strategy. Honestly, that does make sense. Okay, so after I print, this is where I print my matrix. I gotta add another for loop to get the sum of my matrix. So let me go with another for loop. So I could go with something like for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than, let's say 3. Excuse me guys, I'm going to increment my I by 1. Okay, so these are the rows. Okay, and then let's go to the pair of curly braces. Now I gotta add the sum of all my rows. So I could go with a total variable. So let me go ahead and create a total variable right here. Okay, so let me create a double of total variable which is going to be initially set to 0. Then let's see. Let me end that with a semicolon. There we go. Which class are you in? Honestly, I'm in college, guys. That's the reason I can't stream as much as I used to before. Okay, so for every integer and I set my total to be equal to 0. I could go with something like total equals to, let's go with total plus my matrix's array at index of I. Okay, this should, okay, I don't think, I can't go with all i's. Let me go with 0 here. Huh, should I go with like a nested loop here? Because I want to the sum of all my rows. Okay, let's think. So for every integer of I which equals to 0. Hello once again, how are you doing, Fib? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, so for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than 3, I increment it by 1. Okay, let's think why I can't add my total with my matrix. It could be because this is my entire matrix. I need to go with something like, let me go with another for loop. Initialize total inside first for loop. I gotta initialize it inside. As you have an array of 3 by 3, then why are you writing again console input? Shouldn't I write another console input? Okay, initialize total inside first for loop. Maybe right under this. Honestly, I think that after I add my variables here, it does get stored inside of my matrix. Huh. Okay, I could paste it here. Alright, let's see. So, for every integer of I which equals to 0 while my I is less than 3, I increase it by 1. Initialize total with 0 inside first loop. A row is an array of integers. Each row contains columns which has the integers. Each row contains columns which has the integers. Okay, that actually does make sense. I should let's go with the control C. Okay, so I initialize it inside of my first for loop. Honestly, let me copy this part and get it right here. Okay, does this make sense? Okay, so when I go with for every integer which equals to 0, while my integer is less than 3, I increment it by 1. How would I get these separate integers? Let me think. Maybe I should go with something like, can you use an augmented assignment, total plus equals to, let's go with my matrix's array at index of I. Should I go with, okay, let's go with total equals to, okay, total equals to total plus, bro, not there. Bro, in the first nested loop, you should use enter numbers, not enter the number of columns and rows. Paste inside the new for loop. Okay, if I add my total if I add my total variable in, oh, okay. Alright, that actually makes sense inside my for loop, but I could still use it if it was outside my for loop because whatchamacallit, then it would be a global variable. Now it is an enclosed variable. You have to write nested loop. Also make sure to define total in the first nested loop. Okay, you have to go with a nested for loop. So let me go ahead and write a nested for loop. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every integer of j which equals to 0, while my j is less than 3, I'm going to do something. I'll increment my j by 1. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Okay, bro, which country are you on? Honestly, many people do ask me that question. Some of you guys did say me to not say which country I'm from because it could be a little dangerous. That said, you can make it global but it's not needed. Then why you initialize total in for loop? It goes out of scope after you loop. Honestly, yeah, someone actually confused me. They were get inside the first for loop, and I thought that the first for loop is my initial for loop. Okay, let's see. So I could go with something like total equals to total plus my matrix's array at index of I. Honestly, if I go with that index of I, let's try j as well. Okay, would this actually make sense? This is my first row's first element. So what happens if I just go with j? Okay, I need to go with I as well. So first row's first index, which keeps this thing. Okay, I think this should work. And then let me go with a standard console output. Bro, are you in CSE? Honestly, I've never heard of that. Is it is that a different place to learn from? At total equals to 0 before second for loop, do you make sure to define total out of the second loop? Some of this chat tell him that for initialize for loop, you should use enter number, not number of columns and rows. Enter of, okay, someone in the chat. Okay, so outside my for loop, let me go with a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator, I want to insert something like my total variable. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator of an empty space. Okay, I do want to try how this works. I feel like this isn't correct, guys. Okay, let's see. I could go with something like a bunch of 3s, so I'll go with 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, so it goes with 3, 4. Wait, hold up. Did this actually work? Let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. If I run the command now, are you calculating sum of entire matrix or are you calculating its row wise? Honestly, I'm calculating the sum of all the individual rows. Okay, so let's go with something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then 8. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, 10, 15, 20. I think I messed up somewhere, honestly. Enter rows. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 8. Huh. All 2D arrays are arrays of arrays, so matrix at index of I is an array, not an integer. So to add to total, you'll always need a matrix at index at index. I see. You have to make sure to set total to 0 after each row. Okay, so after each rush, I should like set it back to 0. Okay, that adds up in a new line. Let me go ahead and go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Now to set my total equal to 0. After this whole thing happens, I could go with total equals to 0, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that'd be before second loop. Oh, I see. Okay, does this make sense? Okay, enter a number with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it prints the exact same thing. It does not print the total for some reason. The total plus matrix at index of I. So at index of I should be the first row, and at index of j should be the first column. So 0, 0. That keeps increasing. It becomes 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. Then it becomes 1, 0. Okay, am I like not... how do I like sum everything inside of an array? Okay, let me actually see where I messed up. Let's go to control, control C, copy that, get to / ChatGPT here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Let's say I feel like I messed up again, question mark. Okay, let's see, let me just get this a little higher. Okay, yes you did, Vivek, and I'm glad because this mistake is the perfect trap to teach you a row sum. Here's what went wrong in your code. Your mistake, resetting total inside the inner loop. You wrote total equals to total plus matrix. Okay, this means you add one element, print it, then reset it immediately, so you never actually sum the whole row. You should reset total once per row, not per column. So should my total go like under my, outside my inner loop? I think it should. Use standard console output total outside the first loop. Okay, that actually makes sense. Print at the wrong time. You're printing total while still in the column row. So instead wait until the row finishes, J loop ends, then print the final row sum, the correct flow. Okay, I want to honestly, at the start of each row, okay, I loop, reset total equals to 0, go through all columns, J loop, add them up, after row finishes, print the sum. Here's the structure. Okay, so I have an initial, okay, so my integer total reset after the start of each row. Okay, so after this loop ends, it resets to 0 again. Oh, I see what you guys mean by reset 0. I thought I got reset 0 inside my inner loop. Never mind, guys. Total equals to be 0 should be right after the second loop. Okay, it actually makes sense when I actually see your code, because in chat usually it's hard to visualize what you guys actually mean. Okay, and then I go with a standard console output. I plus 1, the sum is total. Okay, now listen, Vivek, rewrite your code properly. I want you to see the grid first, then each row sum exactly as in the example I gave you. Alright, let me get Sensei / ChatGPT here. I've already told you to initialize total inside the first loop. Honestly, guys, it makes more sense. Actually, hydrate my lips. Okay, it actually makes much sense if I like actually see a reference code to like understand what you guys mean, because like mostly in the chat I'm like, what does that actually mean? Okay, with that said, let me remove my double from here. Instead, add it inside of my inner loop. So I could go with something like an integer of total, which equals to 0. Okay, so after my inner for loop ends, the total resets back to 0. That said, for every integer of j which equals to 0, while my j is less than 3, I increment my j by 1. Total equals to total plus matrix at index of I and j. Oh, I see how this makes sense now, because basically the the I here, it's currently 0 at my first ever iteration. The only thing that does change is my j here. Once my j hits 3, before it starts to hit 4, my outer loop or my outer loops runs again. So the next time my inner loop starts to run, this I is not going to be 0 and it's going to be at index of 1. Okay, that actually makes sense now. Okay, and I print my total outside my inner loop. So let me go ahead and delete that. Use standard console output total outside the second loop. Okay, let me get it outside my second loop right here. Okay, honestly, I should go with the end line above this, like right here. There we go. Guys, I cannot read Arabic. Okay, let me go ahead and save the code. If I would run the command, let's see. Okay, maybe I drink some water while this loads. Guys, I hope my OBS doesn't crash. Guys, I cannot read anything besides English. Okay, let's see. Enter a number. I'll go with something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did my OBS crash? Okay, it's still going good, guys. I can't wait to like get my PC, because currently I'm using like a mini PC. There we go. 6, 15, 24. Okay, perfect. But do you remember me? It's been a while since I've joined up. Honestly, yeah, I remember you really nicely, Sisha. I've been like wondering where you were at. Okay, let's go with Control C, copy that whole thing. Okay, let me get Sensei slash GPT here. And guys, I sometimes do get this stream lag, also lag. Honestly, yeah, whatchamacallit, my mini PC, like I've been streaming every single day like for about a few months. I think it's just been like 2 months or something. That's the reason my mini PC CPU is kind of weak, but I am actually planning to get an actual PC. I'm still like working on getting the parts. That said, I will definitely make a YouTube video, like a short on me actually building the PC. That's when I again start multi-streaming. For now, I just stream on YouTube. Okay, good. That's much better. You fixed the resetting of total to be inside the outer loop exactly where it belongs. Let's break down what you did. You print input values into the matrix at index of 3. At index of 3, you print the matrix properly row by row. You then create a loop that starts with total which equals to 0 for each row. Add all elements of that row. Print the sum of that row. Example, enter a number for rows. Excuse me, guys. Okay, only one tiny improvement left. Okay, only one tiny improvement left. Formatting. Right now, your sum appears with an extra blank line and space. You can fix it by writing. Okay. I see. Next challenge. Do the same thing but calculate the sum of each column instead of row. Do not write the code just yet. Tell me where will you reset the total this time. Okay, since I gotta go and whatchamacallit, let me get Sensei there. Okay, I gotta sum the columns instead of rows this time. Sum the columns. Yeah, I'm watching because I'm training an LLM, large language model like ChatGPT, and I have nothing to do. That honestly sounds really good. Good luck, Sisho. It's going like 0.2 FPS. Honestly, yeah, I could like, let me actually reset my OBS real quick. Okay, I think it's kind of good though now. Okay, perfect. 1 frame per 5 seconds. Okay, I think I got it. Like, let me restart my OBS real quick, guys. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. That's much better. 5 seconds per frame SPF. Okay, I think this should be better, guys. I restarted my OBS. Still lagging? Let me check in my phone if the lag is still going. Okay, guys, once I get the once I actually get my PC, that's gonna make it much better. There we go. I think this is much better. Okay, let me just keep it there. Okay, that said, I gotta add my columns this time instead of my rows. So instead of going with the sum right here, I could get this block of code outside my inner for loop. So there we go. Okay, where do I reset my total? My total should reset in my inner loop now. Okay, let me go ahead and paste that right here. Okay, and let me actually copy that and get that inside of my inner loop as well. There we go. Standard console output total. Okay, this honestly should make sense. Let me copy this part and paste it here. Okay, would this give me the sum of the columns now? Total equals to should I get this part? Okay, let me go with the Control S to save the code and run the command. It's good. Okay, seconds per frame. Brother, I have my C++ practical on Monday. Please teach me from starting. Honestly, guys, I'm not that good with C++ yet because today is just my day 70. I think it's day 17 of learning C++. That said, once I'm pretty good with C++, that's when I'm actually going to start making tutorials. Okay, but my LLM is tiny, like barely literate tiny so far. That's still much better, guys. Okay, let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it prints the exact same thing. I gotta add 1 plus 4 plus 7 instead of 1 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, how would I add 1 plus 4 plus 7? Howdy, Baba, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's go with a bunch of Control Z's. Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe Control Shift Z. Okay, there we go. That should be good. Okay, so this prints my columns. I want to print my rows. I want to sum my rows only. Matrix at index of I. Python or C++, which is easier? Honestly, I'll say Python is easier, but once you have a basic grasp of the actual basics of any coding language, I think when you move on to a different coding language, the only thing that is hard to get used to is the syntaxes. Once you get used to the syntaxes, the programming is kind of easy unless you actually make something big where you got to be really used to or comfortable with the programming language. It could probably barely write 1 or 2 sentences. That's still real cool, actually. Okay, let me go with the Control C, get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say I feel like I don't know how to, let's say, sum the columns. Okay, let's see how to sum the columns. So you hit the wall, huh? Good. That means your brain is about to level up. Listen carefully. When you were summing the rows, your outer loop was going through each row and your inner loop was walking across that row J. That gave you the sum of each row, but now your column must flip your thinking. Your outer loop should go over J and your inner loop should walk down the row I. Think of it like this. For every row of sum, total equals to matrix at index of I, 0, matrix at index of I, 1, For columns, 0, 1, 2, okay. Where to reset total? For the columns, you should reset total once per row. For columns, you reset total once per column. Okay, so in pseudocode, for each J, okay, for each J column, total equals 0. For each I increase and then I print my total. Question for you, Warrior. Can you take your existing code and flip it and flip the loop so the sum columns instead of rows? Don't copy paste, rewrite the logic with this inverted thinking. Okay, honestly, didn't I do this? I feel like I actually did something like this. The only thing that is hard for me is assembly, but other than that, everything is not that hard if you get to understand the concept. Honestly, that sounds pretty cool. I do want to start learning assembly soon. Okay, so I reset my total here. I add my this thing there. Okay, let me go ahead and okay, I print my total here. Isn't this how we do it? Okay, for every integer of I, 0, da, da, da. Okay, let's see. So in pseudocode for each column of j. Okay, hold up. Oh wait, I think I see. Although would that change anything? They said for each column of j. For each column of j. So my j should be my outer loop and my I should be my inner loop. But would that even make a difference? Okay, I gotta ask that question. Let me actually ask that real quick. Let me say, let's say, dot dot dot. So in the let's see, in the pseudocode, my for each column of j. So uh, in the pseudocode for each column of j was the outer loop. Okay, that was the outer loop. Although, how could I add or write the j to be an outer loop question mark? Isn't it the column? Guys, I don't know how to phrase questions. Honestly, assembly is kind of like C. Kinda not very difficult. It's just so there's just no libc, so you can link it and use it. Oh, with ASM. Honestly, guys, that felt real complex for me to actually understand. Okay, yes, good instincts. You're starting to see the trap. You're right. The J is the column index. Normally, when we input or print the matrix, I is the outer loop rows and J is the inner loop columns. But when we want to calculate column sums, we need to flip our perspective. Outer loop equals to common index, inner loop equals to row index. Think of it like this. When we loop I outside and j inside, we're walking row by row. When we loop j outside and I inside, we're walking column by column. Okay, when we loop... Okay, I think I see. Let's visualize a 3 by 3 matrix. So that's 0 by 0, 0 by 1, 0 by 2, 1 by 0. Okay, if we want the sum of column, we need matrix at index 0 plus matrix at index 1 plus matrix at index 2. If we want the sum of columns, we need matrix at index 0. Okay. Okay, so we just need the columns up here. If you want sum of column 2, we need matrix at index 0, matrix at index 1, matrix at index 2. See the pattern? The column index stays fixed, j, while the row index changes. Okay, so this index, the rows index changes, these index stays fixed. So the pseudocode becomes for every j which equals to 0. Okay, this is for outer loop, each column totally equals 0 for every I. Okay, now answer me. If we flip it this way, where exactly do we reset total? At the start of the top, okay, of the outer loop columns or the inner loop rows? Oops, forgot to print new line. How are you doing, Michelle? I appreciate you joining the stream. Actually, it's Michael. My bad, guys. I should work more on my spellings. SMH no win AP. Huh. Okay, so for every j, could I use a for each loop in that case instead of going with this kind of for loop? Let me honestly try to use a for each loop. Let me go ahead and delete that. Okay, let's go with a for pair of parentheses. Let's say for every... Okay, for every, I don't know, mat in my matrix at index of... Okay, for every integer of mat, okay, position on top. Okay, for every integer of mat in my matrix, I'm gonna do something. Let's see. I'll go with something like matrix at index. Should I go with 0? Or should I go with the whole matrix? Okay, what if I go with a pair of curly braces? Honestly, I don't think that makes any sense. For j which equals to 0 to 2, this is the outer loop, each column. How do we add that in the outer loop? Huh. Okay, let me just copy this part. Okay, and then get some tasteless ChatGPT here. Let me go ahead and paste that. Go with Shift Enter and say, let's say, do we use a for each loop question mark, or how do we keep the column or use it as a outer loop question mark? How do you use the columns as an outer loop? What's bro cooking up? Honestly, guys, I'm just struggling learning how to work with two-dimensional arrays. No. Stop trying to focus. Stop trying to force a for each for integer of math on a 2D array. That's for 1D arrays only, and it will not give you access to the rows and columns separately. You'll just get a pointer, okay, to the row, which is useless here. For each column sums, you must use a nested for loop. Loops for indices, there's no way around it. Correct structure for columns. How does that honestly make a difference? We just changed the variable names. Everything else should be the same. Index of I, index of J. Okay, I think I see. We don't need to like change everything. If I were to go with a bunch of control Z's. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so basically the only difference I need to do is just change this to J and that to I. I don't even need to replace these variables. Okay, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see. Okay, entry number, I'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 1 plus 4 plus 7. So what is 4 plus 7, guys? I'm pretty sure it's 11, 12. Okay, perfect. Alright, so basically that was actually all. We didn't have to like, I was trying to figure out on how do I get access to my, second index inside of my for loop. So I wanted to get my second index here. That said, I could have just changed these indexes. That actually makes so much more sense. Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C. Although I don't take much credit for the score, guys. Let me paste it, go with Shift Enter. Let's say I see now ... We just swap the indices. Okay, ... Although I don't take credit for this question. That said, can I get another question mark? Okay, guys, actually that makes so much sense now. Okay, yes, that's the spirit. You finally aspire or grasp 2D arrays indexing for columns. I'm proud of you, even if you won't take credit. Alright, here's your next 2D array challenge. Pay attention. Question: create a program that stores the sales of 4 products over 5 days in a total double sales at index of 4. So we have an array called sales, okay, which has 4 rows and 5 columns. Ask the user to enter the sales for each product for each day. After all inputs, print total sales for each product, row sum, total sales for each day, row sum. Okay, column sum, overall sales, total sales for each product, row sum, total sales for each day, column sum. Okay, remember rows products, columns days. Okay, use nested loops carefully and reset total when needed. Okay, let me get some tasteless ChatGPT here. How are you doing, Michael? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, that said, let me go with the Control A, start off by deleting everything. And then let me go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces IO stream. Okay, I won't be including whatchamacallit. I forgot what it's called. I won't be including vectors since I'm going to be using arrays instead of vectors. So let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer main, a pair of parentheses, and then let me go ahead and add something like, let me create an array. I'll go double. My array is going to be called sales. I'll go with that index of 4 and that index of 5. Okay, and I'll end that with a semicolon. That said, let me go and iterate over my arrays now and ask the user to enter the sales for each product of the day. Okay, after all inputs, print it. Okay, so let me go with something like a for loop for a pair of parentheses. Howdy MD, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, for every, let's say, integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than 3, I'm going to increment my I by 1. And then let's go with a pair of curly braces. Excuse me guys, let me go with an inner for loop now. So for every index of j, okay, which equals to 0, while my j is less than 3, actually less than 5, I'm going to do something. Let me change that to be 4. Okay, I added a for loop here. For every integer of j which equals to 0, while my j is less than 5, I'm going to increment my j by 1. Okay, and then let's add a pair of curly braces. Next up, ask the user to enter the sales for each product for each day. Okay, so let me go ahead and say something. Ask the user to enter the sales for each product for each day. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator using namespace std. Honestly, the reason I don't use using namespace std is because in like bigger projects it would cause name conflicts or like name clashes, because other libraries could also have like console output. That said, your accent is great. I appreciate you, MD. Guys, that's the first time someone even said my accent is great. Majority of you guys, y'all just come and be like, fake accents. I'm like, you cannot fake your accent for hours. Okay, so standard console output. Let me go ahead and say something like, enter sales for each day. There we go. Okay, and then I'll end that with a semicolon. Honestly, before I end that with a semicolon, I could go with another insertion operator of my, let's go with yeah, I could go with something like I plus 1. I could do I plus 1 because this is for visuals. I'll go in a new line, another insertion operator. This is gonna be for my days. Let me just remove that. That's gonna be day 1. Okay, there we go. I'll go with another insertion operator. This time, let me go ahead and ask the user to store the sales for 4 products over 5 days. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Let's go with a standard end line with a semicolon. Now, inside of my inner for loop, I could do something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something like my days. So I'll go with something like enter days. Okay, this is going to be my days. For my days, I'll go with another insertion operator of my I plus 1. Actually, since this is sales for each days, that should be j. Okay, I'll go with I plus 1 here. There we go. With another insertion operator of a colon with a space. Lastly, I'll go with a / new line ending with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, so I ask for the days there, and then I go with my 5 separate days. Okay, the sales for each day. I end each of them with a new line. Okay, next up, total sales for each product. I do want to check if this part works, so let me go ahead and return 0, end with a semicolon. For directly use of cout, cin extra, for directly of console output, console input extra. Let's see. Okay, if I were to run the command, let's see. Okay, it's just me or it's printing a lot? Okay, it says enter sales for each day. Oh, I think because I forgot to add a console input. My bad, guys. Let me go ahead and add a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to get the input of my sales days. Console input with an extraction operator. That's going to be sales at index of, let's say, I, and at index of j. Okay, perfect. And then let me go ahead and add in another standard console output here. Actually, standard console input with an extraction operator. My sales at index of, let's say, I honestly don't think I can access my index of j here. There we go, anyway. Okay, so let's delete that and actually get this inside of my for loop as well. Howdy, Otaku Wars, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let me go ahead and paste my standard console input here. This is going to be for my days. Okay, I plus 1. Alright, if I were to save the code and run the command now, let's see. Okay, enter days. So that's going to be for day 1. I'll say something like $90. Enter day 2. This is going to be $100. $130. Let's go with $20. $60. Enter for day 2. I'll just go with a bunch of $50. 50, 50, 50, da, da, da. There we go. 50, 50, 50. Okay, perfect. Okay, I think that part works. Honestly, I could get this thing just outside of my inner for loop. Let me copy that part and paste it here real quick. Okay, because I don't want this to always be showing. Okay, now if I go with the Control S to save the code, let me maybe I remove that part. Okay, that's gonna be day 1. I could go with like a hashtag for like day number 1. There we go. And then when I'm right here, before I get my standard console input, let me go with, let's say, a $sign and remove the end line. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. And outside my for loop, let me add a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Where are you from? Honestly, many people do ask me that. I do say them like I'm from the US, but some of you guys just say me not to say where I'm from, so I try to avoid saying from where I'm from. How's the project going? Honestly, it's going pretty good. I'm actually trying to figure out how 2D arrays work. That said, if I were to run the code... Okay, so let's go with $100, $30, $50, $60, $90. So let's go with $90. Okay, now enter for day 2. I'll go with something like $120. Let's go with $30, $40. New challenge, make AAA title. Does that mean like I gotta add like, let me just go with a bunch of 99s. 99, 99. There we go. Okay, now I just need the sum of all my columns. So that's my row, that's my column. Okay, by 999, do you mean like I need to add like another square bracket here for like something like 6 or something? Okay, let's see. Now I gotta get these sums. So after every row here, let me go ahead and reset my total variable to be equal to 0. So I'll go with total, which equals to 0, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's it. Total sales for each product or row. So I got a total sales for each product. Total sales for each day column. So I got to do both. Overall total sales. Okay, so I'll go with an integer total variable which equals to 0. Since I am working with money, I'll go with double. Okay, next up, right under my console input, let me go ahead and add something like my total variable. I'm gonna set that equal to total plus my matrix. Actually, total plus my sales is matrix or array. Okay, at index of I and at index of j. I'll end that with a semicolon. Okay, that is for my first row. This is, let me go with something like row total. So let me change that to row total. Next up, let me change that to row total as well. Okay, next up, let me go with a column total. So I'll go with something like a double of column total, which equals to 0 as well, ending with a semicolon. Bro, what are you trying to do? Honestly, I'm trying to get the sum of my rows inside of my array and the sum of my columns inside of my array. That said, let me go with my column total variable. Also that equal to column total plus my sales array at index of j and at index of I. There we go. Ending with a semicolon. Okay, that should be sales. In the console, you can put dollar as that is ASCII and it just messes things up. Honestly, it does. Okay, let me remove it in that case. Because I honestly thought that we just use the console output for just the looks. Okay, that said, outside of my for loop, I could print this. So that gets the sum of my numbers. Then outside of my for loop, let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This says something like the total of... Okay, so total of row, each product, total sales for each product, row sum. The total of rows is... I'll go with an insertion operator. of my row total variable with another insertion operator of a /new line ending with a semicolon. That said, let me add a standard console output again with an insertion operator. This is going to be the total of my columns. Okay, is another insertion operator of my columns total with another insertion operator of a /new line ending with a semicolon. No, as in when you input you can print dollar but not give it as input in runtime. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that actually does make sense because isn't that considered like an ASCII or like a character? So we could use character for that. Okay, perfect. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command. Okay, let's see. Enter a few rows. I'll go with like 100, 200, 233, 432, 66. Okay, the total rows is 1,000. Okay, columns is 100. Honestly, it wouldn't even make sense to like get the sum of all columns because that doesn't make sense. So let me just remove the column from here. There we go. Let's go with the second. I'll go with something like 22, 22, 22. Just a bunch of 22s. Okay, columns is 444. How is the columns 100 here at 444 here? The rows is 110. Let's go with something like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20. Okay, I'll go with something like 66, 66, 66, 930. Okay, let me go with the Control Z. Go with Control A, Control C to copy. Get /ChatGPT here. I think I did it correct, but why does it feel like I messed something up? Let me say, let's say, I feel like I did everything correct. So why does it feel like I did something wrong? Question mark. Also, the proper method is to cast the string, which is what you get from console input, into a double. That would be the right way. Oh, I see. Cast a string. That actually sounds pretty good. Okay, I see what's going on here, and yes, you almost nailed it, but you slipped in a sneaky way. Here's the problem. Column total equals to column plus sales ji. You're calculating the column totals inside the row loop. That means you're adding a bunch of... Okay, guys, the stream lag came again. Give me a sec. Let me just restart my OBS. Let me just... Okay, let me... Already, mic testing. Guys, I just had to restart my OBS real quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, you're calculating the total inside the row loop. That means you're adding a bunch of wrong elements because of I equals to 0. You use sales at index of 0. Okay, your array only has 4 rows, not 5. And you're looping J5 index mismatch. Column totals should be calculated in separate loops after all the rows are total done. Otherwise, your sums are wrong and messy. Rule of thumb, rows total calculate while filling each row. Columns total calculate after the entire array is filled with columns as outer loop. You're mixing the two loops. That's why it feels wrong. Okay, let me get /ChatGPT here. Okay, I think I... Okay, calculate while filling each row. So I gotta calculate while I fill each row. I fill the row here. Okay. While filling each row. Okay, so calculate while filling each row. Columns total calculate after the entire array is filled with columns as outer loop. You're mixing the two loops, that's why it feels wrong. You're calculating columns inside the rows loop. Okay, I'm calculating columns inside the rows loop. That's my rows loop and that's my columns loop. How am I calculating my columns inside of my rows? What are we doing today? Honestly, I'm just working on understanding 2D arrays and how to like make matrices and everything. Your array only has 4 rows. Okay, actually let me get Sensei back here and say something like, let's say, I felt like I understood, but I think I didn't understand. Okay, let's see. Maybe I need some coffee. Okay, exactly, Vivek. You think you understood because you see the numbers and loops working, but deep down the column logic has a strict escape, a strict the totals logic is still escaping you. You can't calculate columns while filling a single row. The data for the whole column doesn't exist yet. Let's break it down clearly, no shortcuts. Row totals calculated inside the row loop because you have all that row's data, columns total after the entire 2D array is filled. Loop over columns first and then rows, summing each column separately. If you mix the two, you'll be summing garbage or wrong indices. Your brain might be saying, I just swap indices like we did before the columns. That works for some after the array is filled. It does not work while inputting each row. Oh, I honestly think I see what ChatGPT means. I can get the total here because I'm still filling in my array. Before this worked because my entire matrix, my entire array was already filled. So my row. Okay, so honestly, I think that I should go with another for loop for this. Okay, let's copy this part. We go ahead and do with Control C, copy that, delete this whole thing. Okay, let's go with another for loop. Maybe even remove this part. Okay, and then get my standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line outside my for loop. Right here. There we go. Okay, next up, let's go with another for loop. I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every integer of I, which equals to 0. Can't wait till bro learns arrays are actually pointers. His whole world will turn upside down. Guys, I did hear, like, I have heard many of you guys talk about pointers. I should actually work with them. Okay, while my I is less than, let's say, okay, that's my row. My row is 4. Okay, I'm going to increment my I by 1. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add an inner for loop for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every integer of j which equals to 0, while my j is less than 5, I'm going to increment my j by 1 as well. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then let's say I'll add these two variables inside of my new for loop right here. Okay, there we go. Alright, next up. Let's see, I could first sum the totals. So to get the total pointers before functions is insane. Honestly, I should actually, like, I have like a roadmap type stuff and I go like in order. And like today I had to go with like, whatchamacallit, 2D arrays, 2D arrays, and yesterday I went with regular arrays. Tomorrow I might go on, I forgot what was the next thing in my to-do list. Okay, that said, I'm pretty sure there are like structures or like structs and pointers there as well. I'm kind of excited to learn them. There are also functions in there. Okay, let's see. For every j which equals to 0, I gotta first increase my rows. So my row total is going to be equal to my row total plus my sales array at index of I and at index of j. There we go. Sales at index of I and at index of j. That is for my row total. Next up, I'll go with my column total. Also, that equal to my column total plus my sales at index of j and at index of I, ending with a semicolon. And outside my inner for loop, let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'll say something like, let's see, what did I have to say? I forgot. We scroll all the way up. Okay, the total of rows is, so let me go with the total of rows is another insertion operator. This is going to be my row total, ending with a semicolon. Let's go with a $sign. Howdy Smith, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, next up, let me go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. I gotta go with the column. The total of the columns is, so the total of the columns is $. There we go. With another insertion operator, this is going to be my columns total. I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. I might actually do that here as well. Okay, there we go. So I have rows and I have columns. Okay, perfect. Let me remove that from there. There we go. Okay, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command. I think Smith, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's see. Next up. Enter sales for each day. So I'll go with something like $199, $200. Excuse me, guys. $233, $165, $77. Okay, enter sales for day 2. I'll go with something like 100, 200, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 11, 123, 123, 45, 56, 78. There we go. The total of rows is 323. The total of columns is 687. Okay, so I could go with something like... Oh, so it does give me one for everything. Okay, these are my indices. That's day 3, that's day 4. Oh, I see. So it shows me every single days. That's 100. That goes with 200. Something looks like I feel like I messed up again. Flash news, everything is CPP. Basically a pointer, not really, but yeah, that actually sounds pretty cool. Can you tutor me? Honestly, I'm really bad with C++ just yet, but eventually I am planning to make a lot of tutorial videos once I get better with C++. That's when like I can actually teach you guys. Because guys, I do enjoy teaching you guys. Let me just say, let's say I feel like I messed up! Exclamation. Okay, maybe drink some coffee. Okay, and guys, honestly, if you guys actually want like help with programming, you guys can like join my Discord server. In my Discord server, there is a whole channel dedicated to like coding help. Okay, that was a quick shameless plug. That said, oh my god, Vivek, yes, I see the problem, and it's right there in front of you. You still mix the columns inside. Okay, inside totals, inside the row loop. Look at this. Columns equals to column plus sales ji. Here's the issue. Sales at index of j and I is still trying to access row j and column I. Your array is 4 by 5, 4 rows, 5 columns. When I equals to 4 in your loop, sales j4 is fine, but when j equals 4 in sales ji, you're out of bounds. J goes from 0 4 for rows, but your array only has 4 rows. Column total cannot be computed in the same loop as the rows total unless you do a separate loop after filtering the array. First loop, fill the array. Second loop, sum the totals. Third loop, sum columns. You almost had it, but that Calendix mix-up is deadly in C++. Okay, I don't want to get the full corrected code, but I think I understand. So, basically what this meant was I shouldn't have my columns inside of my inside of my inner for loop. So let's try adding it outside my for loop, ending with a semicolon. Let me move one of those. Okay, now if I hit Control C to save the code, although I can't access my J here. Okay, let's go with a bunch of Control Z's. I got my LLM saying words, albeit it's dumb. It is somewhat saying somewhat correct English. That actually still sounds so cool. I do want to actually work on making actual AIs or like chatbots. That actually sounds pretty cool. But I feel I need to learn my basics before that. Okay, let's say I don't think that I can add the actually. Let me just delete that and say something like, did you mean that I need to sum my let's say columns outside my inner loop question mark, because if I sum it outside my inner loop I can't get access to the let's see, if I sum it outside my inner loop I can't get access to the J variable. Okay, what LLM model is like? It's a TNN or a MN? RNN. Okay, let's see. Exactly, Vivek. Yes, that's precisely the problem. Right now, look at your code. This line is wrong. Here's why. row total finder, summing all columns of row 1 column total. You're trying to sum the column in the row in the same loop, but j is iterating over columns. You end up accessing sales at index of ji, sales at index of j at index of I assumes j is a row index, but j goes 0 to 4 columns while you only have 4 rows. 0 to 3, boom, out of bounds, j equals to 4, correct approach. Some rows outer loop over rows, inner loop over columns. Some columns outer loop over columns, inner loop over rows. Okay, for summing my rows, outer loop over rows and inner loop over columns. For summing columns, outer loop over columns, inner loop over rows. Okay, I think I see. For each row of I, row equals 0. For each column j, row, fringe row. And then another for loop, column total. Okay, that still says ij, sales at index of I at index of j. This is why you don't mix row and column indices and you won't go out of bounds. If you want, I can write the full fixed code. Honestly, I do want to figure it out because I think I understand. Yo, hope you remember me, XD. I do remember you, Joseph, and how are you doing? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, that said, let's see. You should try to implement matrix multiplication. Hope you know vector math from high school. Honestly, yeah. Guys, I barely went to high school. That said, whatchamacallit, I did learn about vectors in C++. Okay, let's see. So I have double sales here for the integer of I. Okay, so I think what ChatGPT/Sensei was saying me is to go with another for loop. So let me go ahead and delete that, remove column totals from here, and then go with another for loop. Okay, so under my this for loop, let's go with another for a pair of parentheses for the integer of I, which equals to 0, while my I is less than 5. Okay, I'm pretty sure it is 5, it's 4 by 5. Okay, while my I is less than 5, I'm going to be incrementing my I by 1, so I plus plus. Then I'll go with my inner loop. Would that even make a difference though? Okay, let's try. Okay, for every integer of, let's say, j, for a pair of parentheses, every integer of j, which equals to 0, while my j is less than, let's say, 5, I'm going to do something. I'll increment my j by 1, so I'll go with j++. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add something like a column total. So I'll go with column total variable. Okay, which is going to be set to 0. I'll end that with a semicolon. Okay, this is going to be an integer. There we go. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and set my column total to be equal to. Vector and CPP are a bit from math 1. But if you want, you can try using glm lib, but that's maybe cheating as it already has matrix multiplication. Honestly, yeah, before I actually try using stuff that already has stuff, I like to do it the harder way and then I like to go with the easier way, like if that made any sense. I do want to try both ways though. Okay, so I'll go with my column total plus my sales at index of j and at index of I. I highly doubt this should make a difference though. Although let me go ahead and copy that and paste it here. Okay, so I have a standard console output. This is going to be the total of my columns and that's going to be my column total. Okay, if I were to save the code and run the command, let's see. Okay, it says enter sales for each day. I'll go with something like 300, 300, 300. Okay, honestly, if I do think about it, let's just go with the spam 300s. Okay, so it says total column is 600. Okay, if I actually think about it, how would I even get the sum of my columns here? Because this is not a matrix. I mean, it's not like a 4 by 5 grid or something. Okay, hold up. Let me actually go with the Control C. Get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say save. I just realized, how would I get the total of all columns question mark. Since this isn't a 4 by 5 grid, instead I'm just adding values. I don't see a total. The row is my days, which is 1, 2, and 3, and the columns is my amount. So instead of getting the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, I could just get the total of all my days' income, if that made any sense. Why CPP should start with Python or Python for noobs, bro? I honestly did have a Python for 100 series before I started my programming for 250 series. My C++ for 100 series is like indented inside of my programming for 250 series. I did spend 100 days learning Python, and by the end of my Python for 100 series, I did have a goal to make a game in Python. I was done with that. I did make a 450 lines game without using ChatGPT's Slush Sensei though. That said, once I was done with that, I did start a new series, and I thought C++ is going to be pretty good. Are you trying to learn? Honestly, I'm trying to learn about 2D matrix or like 2D arrays. Okay, yes, Vivek, exactly. I see what you're thinking. Right now, you're printing each column's total separately, but if you want the grand total of all sales, it's actually much simpler. Think of it like this: you already have a 2D array. Okay, I know how to get the grand total of all arrays. Although, okay, let me actually say, since I do know how to get the total of all my arrays, although I was trying to figure out what did you want me to do, question mark. Guys, I do want to kind of blow my nose real quick. Give me a sec. Let me just cover my camera up. Don't want you guys to see my snot. Okay, let me just cover that up. Wait, where did I even cover it from? Pretty sure it's there. There we go. Okay, maybe mute myself real quick. Give me a sec, guys. I'll blow my nose real quick. Alright, mic testing. Okay, back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Yeah, the reason I do want to like blow my nose is because of the headphones. It actually heats my head way too much. Harvard has online free classes. You have to pay for the practice and test. Oh, I see. Okay, exactly, Vivek. I wanted you to see the difference between the total row column, okay, between the rows total and the columns total and the grand total. Right now, your code prints the rows total and columns total, but the grand total of all sales wasn't being calculated separately. You already know how to get it. Just sum every element in your 2D array with nested loops. That's all I want to point out. It's a conceptual clarity thing. If you want, we can make a final exercise, excuse me guys, where you input a 2D array of sales 4 by 5, print total, print row total, column total, and grand total. Okay, before I try this question, let me say, before I start this question, since say by grand total, do you mean the sum of all my columns, question mark? Like I get the sum of my rows first, which is going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and then the sum of my columns, okay, which is row number 1's income, then row number 2's income, so on till row number 5's income. And then the grand total is the entire total of all my days' income, question mark. Okay, let's see. Pro tip: whenever you try to read a variable, analyze what type it returns. Oh, honestly, that does sound actually pretty good. I should try that. Okay, exactly, Vivek, you nailed it. Let me break it down clearly. Rows total, sum of all sales in that row, all items last day. Okay, hold up. Row total, sum of all sales in that row, all items slash days in that row. Columns, sum of all sales in that column, all rows for that specific column. Okay, all rows for that specific column. So I could try printing it as a matrix. Grand total, sum of everything in the array, which is effectively the sum of all rows totals or the column of all columns total. Okay, it's the total sales for all days and all items combined. Array, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Okay, rows total, columns total, grand total. Once you understand this, summoning rows columns or everything becomes mechanical. Okay, let's get Sensei slash ChatGPT there. Ta-ta. And GPT-2 is not that smart. Honestly, I feel the same thing because like before I like upgraded to like ChatGPT 5, I felt ChatGPT felt much better. ChatGPT felt kind of humanly, guys. Right now, I feel like I'm talking with an AI. That was a joke, by the way. Okay, let me go ahead and include IO stream. So let's go with IO stream. Depends on what you're training on. Oh, I see. Honestly, I'm kind of confused. I was first planning to be a cybersecurity and then I was planning to be an AI engineer. I'm actually kind of confused between cybersecurity and AI engineering. Like, what do you guys think I should actually major on? Okay, let's see. Let me go ahead and typecast my main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer main, add a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Okay, let's read the instructions. Okay, so it says input a 2D array of sales for about 5. So I'll go with something like an integer of sales. Honestly, I could go with a double of sales with which contains of 4 rows and 5 columns. AI seems more fun to mess around with. Honestly, I do actually like AI. Do both? Can we do both? I thought that if we like go over one field, we should just work on that field instead of like working on other fields. Can we like do both? Because that would be awesome, honestly. Do game development? Honestly, I do like making games, but I feel like the future is going to be much better. Like if I actually work with AIs or be cybersecurity. I don't know, guys. Because like I enjoy making games, but I'm looking like far ahead in the future as well. Okay, let's go with a for loop. For a pair of parentheses, let's start something like for every integer of I, which equals to 0. While my I is less than, let's say, 4, I'm going to increment my I by 1. This is going to be my outer loop for my rows. Next up, let's go ahead and add an inner loop for my columns. For every integer of j, which equals to 0, AIs easily can be trained on certain security measures to bypass. AI security is where it's going to be, especially with quantum mechanics. I do want to try that actually, like the concept of quantums, guys. That sounds real cool. I might someday try that and like stream myself doing that. Okay, let's go with J++, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Next up, honestly, is there something called AI security, or did you mean like cyber security or like AI engineering? Okay, that said, for every integer of j, so this is for my columns. Next up, it says ask the user to input 2D arrays of sales 4x5. So let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let me go ahead and insert something like enter a, let's say, day. Okay, so this is going to be enter a day. Honestly, the day is going to increase by 1. So I could go with like day 1 with another insertion operator. Actually, instead of going with day 1, I'll go with day space. I'll go with I plus 1. Okay, so that's going to move on to day 1 instead of day 0. And then I'll go with another insertion operator of, let's say, a colon space. Okay, with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, that said, that's for my days. Okay, I could now go with my, let's see. Okay, input, ask a 2D array of sales. That is my day 1, so I plus 1. Okay, I might not need a standard console input for this because I'm not asking the user for an input. Okay, so let's remove this part. There we go. Okay, that should be good. Next up, let's add another standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something like enter the sales for day 1. Okay, here's the thing. Is it day 1 or like week 1? I think that's like week 1 instead of day 1. Let me change that to week 1. There we go. Enter sales for week 1. Week 1, there we go. This message is from my AI model. It's so dumb. Jerry used money. The versus an age hospitalized S. That actually sounds real fun. Okay, let's go with another insertion operator. Honestly, I won't go with another insertion operator. Let's go with a standard console input. Honestly, Sisho, do you like use assembly to make AIs or like do you use Rust? Because I heard Rust is to like make AI chatbots. Okay, that said, let's go with a total variable. Enter the sales for day 1. Okay, so for entering sales, what should I go with? I could go with my sales at index of I and at index of j. Okay, perfect. I use Python. Oh, okay, honestly, yeah, Python is for actually making like AIs. Although I did hear people say me like if I want to work with AIs, I should like use Rust. Did you like actually learn Rust or something? Okay, next up, print rows total and print columns total. So that's my user input. Okay, next up, let's go with another for loop for a pair of parentheses and PyTorch with training news articles for data. Oh, I did honestly want to learn. I did actually want to learn about PyTorch and even turtles because like people did say me to try that. But I thought, but most of you guys were like learn C++. So I was like, I guess I could learn C++. Okay, I'll go with for the integer of I which equals to 0 while my I is less than 5. Honestly, the reason I even thought to learn C++ is because I heard that C++ is actually the best coding language for making a game. I thought that would be pretty helpful for my 100-day series as well. Actually, 250-day series. Okay, let's see. For the integer of I, this is for my, let's say columns. Actually, that's for my rows. So let's go with 4. Okay, next up I'll go with an inner for loop for a pair of parentheses. Homie, just get used to it, and because it helps with scaling your projects up, instead of using 4 and 5 in the loop, you should use scales.length and scales at index of I.length. Honestly, I've never heard, oh, scales at index of scales.length. I did learn about the length function. That's actually like a pretty smart way to do it. Although I don't see how does the length function make sense in this. I should actually ask Sensei/ChatGPT. Okay, let's go with for every integer of j which equals to 0. While my j is less than 5, I'm going to increment my j by 1. And then I'll add a pair of curly braces. Let's see, print the total of all columns. So I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, let me add a variable here for row total which equals to 0. Okay, and then I'll go with something like integer column total which equals to 0 as well. So I'll add an integer here. Dot length is only if it's array, but arrays decay into pointers. Usually you pass a separate variable with size. Honestly, I did see people like actually try something like this, like sales actually size of, I think it was the size of function, size of pair of parentheses sales divided by size of okay, divided by size of I'm pretty sure this was sales at index of 0. I did see someone do something like this, but I honestly didn't understand what this actually means. But I was trying to like add a separate stream to like work with that. Okay, that said, standard console output. First, I gotta get the total of my rows. So to get the total of my rows, I'll go with row total equals to row total plus let me fix my typo real quick. This is going to be total. Okay, row total plus I could go with let's see, my sales at index of I and sales at index of j. Don't do that. Oh, is that wrong? Because I like saw somebody actually, whatchamacallit, use that. Okay, size of gets the size of the structure or type that's completely different. Oh, okay, because I did see somebody use that in the inside of a for loop. Instead of I less than 4, they were like, for every integer of I which equals to 0, the size of something something. Okay, I think I understood that part wrong. Okay, so a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. Let's insert the total of rows. So I'll just go with rows is total. Okay, that's going to be my rows is total. I'll add another insertion operator. There we go. Okay, I could go with like a dollar sign here. Okay, another insertion operator of my rows total variable. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. That said, I can go with my columns as total as well right now. So I'll set my columns as total equal to my columns as total plus my sales is array at index of j and at index of I, ending with a semicolon. And then let me add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my columns as total, okay, with a dollar sign. Okay, there we go. I'll go with an insertion operator and go with columns as total with an insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Make this guy watch Chernas content. Honestly, I've never heard. Is it like a YouTuber or something? Because I could actually watch it after the stream. Okay, then I gotta go with grand total. So I'll go with integer grand total, which equals to 0 as well. Okay, and then let me go with something like my grand total variable equals to my row total plus my column total. Okay, and I'll end up with a semicolon. Then let me add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my grand total. Okay, my grand total is going to be something. Let me go with the Control Z, delete that. There we go. Okay, I'll go with a dollar sign here. Another insertion operator. This is going to be my grand total variable with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. And then I drink some coffee, guys. Okay, perfect. And then let me go ahead and return 0. If I were to save the code and run the command, okay, let's see what happens. Okay, it says enter a week 1. Instead of going with enter a week 1, I could just type week. There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and delete that real quick. I'll go with Control S and run the code again. Okay, this time instead of saying enter a week 1, it is going to say week 1. Enter sales for week 1. I got like $200 and like 300. Okay, honestly, let me go with a dollar sign here and add my week 1 all the way up here under my inner loop. Okay, so that's just going to print once. Okay, and then I'll add a standard. Okay, now if I hit Control S and run the code, now it's going to show me the week 1. What's good? How are you doing, Sujata? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's go with $250 and then $300, $40, $30, $60. Enter sales for week 2. Week 2 is $113 to $66, $55, $72, $83. Okay, enter sales for week 3. Okay, I just wrote week 1 for the whole thing here. Instead of going with week 1, I could have gone with something like, let's say, let me go ahead and delete this. Okay, maybe delete these. Go with an insertion operator of j plus 1. Okay, with another insertion operator of a, let's say, semicolon. So let's go with semicolon space dollar sign. Another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, let's go with 22, 26, 45, 6. Okay, enter for week 4. I'll go with $700, $650, $228, $980, $33. Okay, this is a long list of stuff. Should I have returned this? Okay, would it make sense for me to write this outside my for loop here? So like, okay, this is my inner for loop. I need to write it inside of my inner for loop to have access to my j here. But it does reset outside. So I have a row, I have a column, okay? Honestly, I need a new line too. A new line. Maybe I could go with 2 new lines. Is that legal to add 2 new lines? Okay, it's not. Maybe it is. I just gotta add another this thing. Oh, it is. Okay, so now I have 2 separate new lines. If I hit Control S and run the command again, this should print something. What are you working on today? Honestly, I'm working on 2D matrices and like learning how 2D arrays work. Okay, enter sales for this week. Let me just fix my week's typo. Okay, where did I add the enter sales for this week? Let me copy that. Okay, j plus 1. There we go. Now if I run the command, it's gonna say, okay, let's see, enter sales for week 1. Let me go ahead and remove the new line from here because I wouldn't need that. Okay, now if I run the command, let's see. There we go. Let's go with 200, 300, 400, 500, 66. Okay, let's go with 70, 85, 68, 92, 30. And then I'll go with 122, 265. Then like 69, 87, 54. Okay, week 4, 99, 89, 25, 600, 350. Okay, perfect. So, why does it have so many grand totals? Okay, rows total. Does this print like everything? I'm pretty sure this is my grand total right here. Rows total, sums total. Okay. Should this go like outside the for loop? Let's go with the Control C, copy that, get some /ChatGPT here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. And then go with Shift Enter. Maybe zoom in all the way. Okay, I'll go with Shift Enter and say, Sensei, I feel like I did mostly everything correct, although my output is really messy, ... Is it because I add my standard console output std out inside of my for loop question mark? Okay, before I actually ask this question, I think that is because okay, so I can get my sums and everything inside here. I don't actually need to print this inside of my outer for loop. Let me go ahead and copy that and print this outside. Okay, so let's print it outside of my for loop. You're resetting grand total, don't reset grand total. Oh, I shouldn't reset grand total? Okay, hold up guys. Let me go ahead and paste that part here. I think, never mind guys. I think I actually figured out what I did wrong. Okay, let's copy these parts and paste it here. Because for my standard console output, I wouldn't need my, these things. Okay, let's copy that, delete that from there, paste it here. Here's some inspirational words from my AI. The face of trial, not music, cookies, when that should. The face of trial, not music, cookies, when that should. That was really motivational, guys. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me go ahead and delete this and delete that as well. Okay, now, I shouldn't reset my grand total, so honestly, that does make sense. Resetting grand total does seem pretty dumb. Okay, instead I'll go with an integer variable. Okay, honestly, I could get my grand total variable. Let's go with Control C. Okay, let me copy my grand total, delete it from there, add it under my for loop, outside of my inner loop. Okay, this should make sense. Instead of setting that to be 0, I'll add that to be row plus my column. Okay, now I delete it from here. There we go. Moving it outside will only ARPing the total of last week. It also said Russell's character for the interview to the S computer. Ooh, that actually sounds pretty funny. Okay, because you reset the total for every loop. Oh, I see. It's trained off of news headlines. That actually, yeah, that actually sounds pretty cool. That sounds like genius. Grand total outside both the loops. Okay, if I get my grand total outside both the loops, I don't. How am I gonna have access to my grand total? Like, these are like inner variables. These two variables are inside of my these two variables are inside of my outer for loop. So if I exit off my for loop, I can have access to my variables here. So I feel this is like the only logical way to do it. Okay, grand total outside the loops. I did that so it learns English. Honestly, our AI is like, I don't even understand like how they learn. I thought that we actually like add memory inside of them. Do they learn automatically or something? Okay, let's go with 233, 233, 233, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99. Hey man, how did you work, Chris? I appreciate you joining this stream. Well, so initialize the outside. So initialize then outside the loop. So initialize then outside. Oh, okay, I could actually initialize it. Let me just actually try completing this. Yeah, but grand total before the DCL loops. Oh, I see. Okay, so rows total is 62, columns total, there we go, grand total. Okay, in that case, let me actually try getting it outside the loop. So first initialize, then outside the loop. Yeah, but the grand total, both loops. Yeah, before you go inside the loop. You really got popular recently, lol. Honestly, I don't feel like it though. Okay, guys, I still feel like an absolute beginner in both things. Give me some coffee. LLMs learning English from tokens or numbers that point to a word. Example, computer, 0, hello, 1, bro, 2, code 3. Oh, I see. Okay, that actually makes sense. Honestly, I don't understand much of it though. That said, let me go ahead and initialize these variables. How do I initialize them outside? Should I like copy this and then get it outside my for loop like right here? Would this make sense? I think this should make sense, right? Okay, let me go ahead and delete that part. There we go. Okay, now I get these outside my for loop. Let me go ahead and copy that and paste it outside. Do integer grand total items. Okay, then do the for pair of parentheses. Okay, I see. Let me go ahead and copy that, paste it here. Okay, let me close that and maybe delete this part. Alright, perfect. Now if I hit Control S, this honestly should work. It is outside of my for loop. Let me just de-indent these. Okay, only the grand total, not all the row count and stuff. Only the grand total. Okay, let me just... Wait, if I like get the... Okay, if I get the grand total outside my loop, then how would I like... Wait, hold up. Let me just remove that real quick. Okay, if grand total is outside of my loop, I wouldn't get access to my actual grand total. Okay, let me actually, let me just copy that, paste it here. I'll set that equal to my row total. Okay, plus my column total. Okay, so if my row total and column total is inside of my for loop, I wouldn't be able to do this. That said, I think this should actually go under my for loop. Okay. Actually, never mind, that was correct. There. I think this does look correct because I can add only my grand total outside of my for loop. Or can I? Wait, actually... Okay. Honestly, yeah, I think that does make sense. I can add my grand total outside. Let me copy this part, paste it right here. Hold up, guys. I think I see what you guys mean. Okay, let me get this here. Paste it, indent that part, tab, delete this part. Okay, next up, only my grand total is outside, so let me delete these two. I have my grand total out all the way up there. I could set my grand total to be equal to 0. Okay, and then it says row. Wait, let me just get my row here. Okay, let's copy these parts, now delete them. Let me get those inside my inner loop. I give up, dude. Explaining over chat is really hard. Honestly, yeah, it's hard to like even understand that. That said, let me go here. Guys, a message was flagged by Nightbot. I should actually fix my Nightbot's flagging messages. So let me check. Bro, get rid of magic numbers? Honestly, I've never heard of magic numbers. Okay, so let me go ahead and remove my grand total from here, copy that, delete that. Okay, and get it under my for loop, right here. Okay, and then let me go ahead and go with Control Z, there we go. Actually, grand total goes outside my for loop, right? So I'll paste that here. Excuse me guys, I'll set this initially equal to 0. Okay, let's add 3 grand totals, I guess. Let me copy that. Add one above my for loop right here. Okay, and then inside my for loop, I could go with something like my grand total variable equals to my column total plus my row total. There we go. How are you doing, Armin? I appreciate you joining the stream. I love looking at raw bytes, PK, that does look pretty cool. Stop worrying about magic numbers, let the guy learn about basics, stop showing off. Honestly, in like Python, there was like a concept of like magic numbers or something, although I don't know much about that in C++. That said, grand total. Okay, now my grand total is outside of my, okay, so it's outside. It updates inside of my for loop, then I display it outside, although I think this line of code, there we go. Okay, perfect. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command now, I think this should work. Also, here's a quick tip from me to programming. Get a programming book. One of my top recommendations would be Learning C the Hard Way, but by Z.A. Shaw. Is that how he pronounces his name, Shaw? Or like, yeah, I think it's pretty much Shaw. Okay, this isn't about C++, about C instead. I see. Honestly, I might look into that. Is there like an ebook of that? I've heard great things about this book. I could actually get a hard copy as well. Okay, so let's go with 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 100, 111, 112, 113, 114, and like 44, 55, okay, 66, 77, 88, 99, 33. Okay, so it says rows total, that's the rows total, and then columns total. Okay, and there's just one grand total. Okay, I think I understand now. Let me go ahead and actually I think I should add integers here. So I'll go with integer of row total. I think I was doing it correct before, like row total, okay, which equals to 0, and then I'll go with something like integer column total. Let me just copy these to avoid typos, paste that equals to 0 as well. Okay, I'll go with equals to 0, ending with a semicolon, there we go. Okay, that's row total, column total, and then let me copy these, get that outside of my for loop, so it just prints once. Okay, because I don't want it to print multiple times. Your grand total is wrong. Hey brother, I wanted to start learning coding. Can you help me choose a language? Honestly, I would recommend starting by learning Python. I mean, Python is mostly for like working with AIs or anything, but it is like a pretty easy language and it's close to a high-end language. Is that what we call it? Like low-end language is like almost machine level language. High-end language is more like the ones that humans understand. So I would recommend understanding the basics using Python and then exploring different languages and sticking to one that you actually prefer. You're supposed to write grand total plus equals to row total plus column totals. Currently, you're replacing grand total. Okay, every time. Am I replacing it every time? Okay, plus equals to. Isn't like plus equals to is an augmented assignment operator. Plus equals to. Okay, I think that does make sense too. If I were to hit Control S to save the code, and actually guys, give me a sec, let me just charge my laptop real quick. Let me just connect the charger, because I see my chats on the laptop. There we go. Alright, so it says enter a few prices. I don't know why this is so long. But when I ask that question, I get suggestions like start with C or C++. Honestly, I would highly not recommend starting with C++. It honestly depends. Few people do prefer C++ more. But I started learning using Python, so like I felt Python was pretty easy at beginner level. Although you could like explore different languages and like do you know what do you want to eventually be? Depending on that, you could start learning as well. I would say C++ is a bit harder than what you may call it, Python, in terms of understanding the syntaxes. But if you like spend enough time with it and like code a lot, then you could get used to it with C++ too. Okay, so why does my row total and column total, why are those equal to 0? Didn't I like update? Oh, okay, let's go with plus equals to. Augmented assignment operator. Now if I hit Control S to save the code, start with C or C++ is what I think. Say 2. When you learn hard language like C or CPP, it'll be very easy to learn other coding languages. Although there's one thing, people usually when they get overwhelmed with the coding language, they like just quit. So they're like, this is way too hard. When I started with Python, I felt it was kind of easy. So I honestly prefer going from the complete basics, like the easier stuff, to harder level stuff, because if I start with harder level stuff, it does overwhelm me. Although that depends on like the person. So like if you people prefer like working under a lot of pressure, like I do prefer working under a lot of pressure. That's why I like make like 100-day series, 250-day series. Although I do start like going with the basics, although it does depend on the person. But if you learn Python first, it'll be very hard to learn any other language. Honestly, I did start with learning Python first, but I felt that C++ is pretty easy because I learned the Python basics. So it is C or C++. Remove line 19 and 20. Don't need plus equals to for row total as it's already being added. Remove 19. Oh, okay. I actually didn't even see those things. You guys pay way too much attention to these stuff. I should actually start paying attention like that as well. Okay, row 0, column 0, grand total is 100,000. Is that 100,000? 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. Do these things add up to 100,000? I feel like I messed up somewhere, guys. Let's go to Control C. Only for a grand total? If I just add it for a grand total, then I still get 0 for my rows total and columns total for some reason. Shouldn't these like update those variables? Brother, I reply my message, please. Howdy, Tanish. I appreciate you joining the stream. Is that how you pronounce your name though? Tanish. Guys, I should like work more on my pronunciation. I feel sometimes awful when I pronounce you guys' names wrong. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll just spam 33s honestly because I don't want to like think of different numbers. I'll just go 33. There we go. Let's go with a bunch of 33s. How is it? Okay, I don't understand. How did this end up working right now? It did not work before. Okay, 960, the grand total. Although, even if I add all those, the grand total does seem kind of wrong. Chat, is it C or C++? Which should it be? Test now without any changes. It looks alright. Which should I choose? You tested old code and looking at new code. You tested old code and look at new code. Honestly, yeah, I thought that augmented assignment operator just works with one number here, like 1 plus, or like my total plus equals to my another number or something. Okay, let's go with the Control C, get Sensei slash ChatGPT here. Okay, let me go with the Control A, delete this, paste it, go with Shift Enter and say, Sensei, I think that something is still wrong, question mark. Guys, I still feel something's wrong actually, even though everything looks good. Okay, oh no Vivek, you're close, but your total are all mixed up here. Let me break it down so you can exactly see what went wrong. Row totals, you need one row at a time, sum all columns in that row, and then reset row total for the next row. Right now, you're adding everything to a single row across all rows column totals. You need one column at a time, sum all rows for that column, and reset column total for the next column. Right now, you're adding sales at index of ji inside the same loop as rows, which doesn't make sense because I is for rows and j is for columns. Grand total, you just need to sum every element once, right? Once. Right now you're doing grand total plus equals to column total plus row total. Inside the inner loop, you're double counting everything like crazy. That's what I was actually saying, because the plus equals to wouldn't make much sense here. Okay. So here's what you should do for rows. For every integer of I, double Okay, so I add separate for loops for them. for every j. Wait, is this for my inner for loop? Python does make it harder to learn other languages. Honestly, I don't think Python makes it harder to learn, because like I learned Python before learning C++, and C++ did feel much easier. Wait, where can I connect with you? I wanna have a talk with you. Honestly, you guys can like join my Discord server. You guys can type like exclamation Discord for like the link. Well, Python was made to be easy. That's the point. Of course, it's made to be easy to learn. That's why it makes it hard to learn other languages, though. Okay, let's see. For columns, okay, so for columns, I have an inner for loop. Okay, so I have an inner for loop for both. This one is for my rows. That's for my columns. Okay, and then grand total, double grand total, rows, columns, grand total plus equals to sales. Okay, when I do that, does it add these as well? Notice how each total is calculated separately, so you can't mix around row and column to. Okay, I see. Okay, let me get Sensei/ChatGPT there. Okay, that said, I think I see where I messed up. So basically, what I was doing wrong was that I was adding everything inside of one for loop. I need to add like multiple for loops. Don't they like actually do the same thing? Or I don't think so. Okay, so I think I need separate for loops. So let me go ahead and delete all this. Okay, you'll understand when you start learning frameworks and not just basic controls. Honestly, that does make sense. People did say when they started C++, it was easy. Then when they went more in depth of it, then it started crashing downwards. Okay, let's see. So I'll go with a for loop. So let's go with for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every. Okay, I could go with something like for every integer of I. Guys, I like need more coffee. Okay, let's go with for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than, let's say, okay, so I have 4 and 5. While my I is less than 4, I'm going to increment my I by 1, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. That is for my outer loop. Now let me go ahead and add one for my inner for loop. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses for every integer of j which equals to 0. While my j is less than 5, I'm going to increment my j by 1. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's see. Your Discord link is expired. Can you give your Discord link? Honestly, many people do say that my Discord link doesn't work. So let me actually copy it real quick. Okay, let me go ahead and copy that and like paste it in chat. Okay, let me paste it right here. There we go, that link should work. Okay, let's see. Hi again, gang. How are you doing, Substatistics? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, so I got my rows and my columns. Let me go ahead and create a variable now. So I needed a variable for my row total. So I could go with a double variable of row total, which equals to 0. Okay, it's going to reset after my inner for loop. Next up, let's go with something like my row total variable equals to, or should I go with plus equals to? Okay, I think, okay, my row variable plus equals to, okay, row variable plus equals to, let's go with my row total. Honestly, I want to plus it with my sales's array at index of I and at index of j. Let me change that to at index of j. Okay, perfect. I will be ending that with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be, say, something like rows total. My rows total is going to be my total variable. I'll go with another insertion operator of my row total variable. I'm a new subscriber. Love what you're posting. I appreciate you, Frostplay. That means the world to me. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's for my rows. Next up, let's go with another for loop for my columns. I'll go with for a pair of parentheses for every integer of I which equals to 0. While my I variable is less than, let's say 5, I'm going to do something. Actually, less than 4, I'll increment my I by 1, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add another for loop. For a pair of parentheses for every integer of j which equals to 0. Okay, while my j variable is less than 5, I'm gonna increment my j by 1. Just a tip which can be very useful in the long run: try not to use AI to find mistakes in your code. Learn to find in your own by calculating proper slash input output. Honestly, that does make sense. I usually do prefer like figure it out myself, but when I'm learning the basics, I do like to actually see how this stuff works. For example, while I was learning Python, like first I needed like a lot of help from like ChatGPT slash Sensei, but later when I started writing my actual code and working with Pygames, ChatGPT was making a lot of errors slash mistakes, so I had to figure that out myself. It will seem easier now when AI is correcting your code, but trust me, in the long run, it has no benefits. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, it's better practice. Okay, let's see. I'll go with something like a column totals variable. So I'll go with something like columns total variable, which equals to 0. Okay, this is going to be a double as well since I am working with money. Okay, next up I'll go with my column total variable. I'll increase that, so plus equals to my sales is variable. Actually, my sales is array. Okay, and guys, why is this laggy again? There we go. Hey guys, my nose is kind of scuffed up actually. Sales at index of j and at index of I. This is going to give me the total of my columns. Debugging is greater than actual coding in real life. Ooh, like I had a pin on your Discord, so please reply when you're free. Honestly, after my stream, I'll definitely reply. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and add a semicolon here. Okay, let's see. Next up, outside of my inner for loop, let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something. And guys, is my stream lagging because of my Discord? Let me actually reset my OBS real quick. Give me a sec, guys. Alrighty, mic testing. Okay, mic testing, mic testing. That should actually be perfect. There we go. That should like fix the lag, right? Okay, pretty sure the lag is fixed. Okay, let's see. Excuse me, guys. Okay, standard console output. This is going to be my columns at index. Okay, this is going to be my columns is total. UMNS. There we go. My columns is total. I think I should add an apostrophe here. There we go. Okay, that is going to be equal to, let's say my columns is total variable. So I'll go with an insertion operator of my columns is total. There we go. I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Howdy, Anand. I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let's see. So that prints my rows as total and that prints my columns as total. Next up, I need to find my grand total. So for my grand total, let's see. I gotta create, let me go under my for loop. Okay. Learn to use breakpoints and run in debugging mode, and you can actually see how the values change in every loop. Trust me, in real life, AI won't solve everything. Honestly, yeah, I should actually figure out how this debugging stuff works here. Like, there's an option here which says debug C/C++ file. I should actually figure that out. Maybe after my college is over, I'll have like more time to stream, so I could like do it on stream. Okay, that said, let's go ahead and iterate over everything again. For every integer of I, okay, which equals to, for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than, let's say, 4, I'm going to do something. I'll increment my I by 1, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let me go ahead and add a inner for loop for every integer of j. This is going to be for my columns, which equals to 0. While my j variable is less than 5, I'm going to increment my j by 1. So I'll go with j++. And then I'll go ahead and add another curly braces. And then let's see. Excuse me, guys. I could create a double variable of total, which equals to 0. So I'll go with something like grand total. Okay, grand total is going to be set to 0. Alright, let's say next up, let me end that with a semicolon. Okay, next up, I'm going to add my grand total variable. So I'll go with grand total plus equals to my sizes array. Okay, honestly, if I go with grand total my size array, okay, that's the reason this is outside the for loop. Okay, I think that makes sense. So I'll go with my sales is array at index of I and at index of j, ending with a semicolon. And then outside my, honestly, I could go outside my entire for loop. Let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert something like your grand total is okay. Let's go with another insertion operator of my grand total variable, another insertion operator of a forward slash new line ending with a semicolon. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so it says enter something. I'll go with 33, 33, 33, 33. Guys, I'll just like spam 33s. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it says columns total is 132, 132, 132. Okay, that's my rows total. That is 165. Am I doing something wrong? Grand total is 630. Okay, let's see. So I add my columns as total here. My columns is there. I just wanted to print once. So I could get my columns as variable up here, and then I add columns plus equals to my sales at index of j and I. Okay, if I do that, let me actually try that. So I could copy that because I just want one total. I don't want like multiple. Okay. Let me add a semicolon there. There we go. And then add my standard console output outside my for loop right here. Okay, and let me do the same thing for my let me copy that for my rows total as well. I'll go ahead and paste that here. Delete that, and then copy this standard console output and paste it outside of my for loop. There we go. Okay, now if I were to hit Control S, okay, wait. In this case, it would not reset. Okay, I think it still would reset. Okay, let's go with the Control S to save the code. Now if I run the command, let's see. Okay, I'll go with something like 33, 33. Huh. Okay, that's week 4. Okay, rows total is 660, columns total is 525. I'm still confused in object-oriented programming in Python, lol. Honestly, I'd say object-oriented programming is actually pretty fun once we understand it. Like, I actually want to start object-oriented programming in C++ as well. That actually feels like a pretty fun topic. Okay, columns, that's my rows is total, that's my columns is total, that's my grand total. Okay, that's 90, that's 180, that's... Okay, let's go with the Control C to copy that. Whoops. Okay, I think that's actually... I feel it's correct, honestly. Let me go ahead and paste that, go with Shift Enter and say... Since say, I feel like it's correct, but in the same time, I feel like I messed up, ... Can you explain me what happens in the code question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, alright Vivek, listen up because you're almost there, but there are some mistakes lurking that will wreck your program if you run it. Let's go line by line. Inputting the sales, okay, this part is fine. You correctly ask the user to enter items. Okay, rows total, the problem, you're summoning all rows into a single row total. That's fine if you want if you just want the total of all rows, but if you want it of each row separately, you need to reset rows total inside the outer loop. Columns is total, big problem, you swapped I and J correctly in your head for accessing columns, but your loop limits are wrong. I goes from 0 to 4 and rows, okay, 0 to 4 rows, and J goes from 0 to 5 columns, but in the sales, when J becomes 4, you access 4 at index of I, which is out of bounds because your array only has 4 elements. Okay, fixed loop columns, then rows for every J weight. Okay, does that even make a difference? Because How how is my columns there? Does that even make a difference? Because like these are variable names. There could be anything. Okay, grand total. Let me just copy that because I do have a question about this part. Okay, grand total. So double grand total for every integer. Critical mistake. You declare grand total but did not initialize it. Did not initialize it in C++. Uninitialized doubles contains garbage. Always initialize. Oh, did I initialize it? Okay, summary of issues. Rows totals are fine. If you want, I can write a full corrected version. Honestly, no one like figured this out. So let me go ahead and copy that. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, dot dot dot. So for this part, okay, what was my question? Does it make a difference if the J is the outer loop or the inner loop question mark? They're just variables. I could I could even name them to something like A and B. So dot dot dot. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, Vivek, I see you're thinking deeply and that's good, but listen carefully. The names of variables I, J, A, B doesn't matter. What matters is what is in the outer loop and which one is in the inner loop, because that declares what you're summing over. J, outer loop column, inner loop rows. Isn't the outer loop always for the rows? Outer loop J columns, you go column by column. Inner loop rows, you swap them. If you swap them, you're now summing rows by rows, not columns by columns. Okay, rule of thumb. Okay, hold up. Let me go ahead and copy that, paste it, go with Shift Enter and say, if I wrote it like this, all I need to do is write this part, copy that, paste it here, and change J with I and I with J. Okay, this would be the same exact thing that we want, right? Question mark. Let me fix my typo and send it. Okay, this would be the same exact thing that we want. Yes, exactly. That's the trick. By swapping the indices like that, you're essentially... But remember, if you swap indices, the limits of your loops must watch the dimensions correctly. J0, okay. Otherwise, you'll access out of bounds memory. If you want, I can write the perfect 4x5 scale example. Honestly, yes, let's say dot dot dot. Can I get a reference code? I do want to see how it works. Question mark. Maybe while I see that, let me drink some water. Okay, Vivek, pay attention. This is the reference code for your 4x5 scales grid, row total, columns, and grand total. Explain after so you get this crystal clear. Okay, we have IM and IP just for like rounding numbers up. We have double sales, 4 and 5, 4 rows. Okay, 4 weeks, 5 days. Input, we ask the user for an input, standard console output, double grand total. Okay, so we have a grand total, we have a standard console output, week 1 plus 1, row total, okay, and then grand total plus equals to row total. Okay, so for every I, this is for my row total. So row, okay. Standard console output, this is for my row total. My grand total still increases by my row total. This is total for days. So for every integer of j, which equals to 0. Why is this not I? Why can't we make this I? Like, isn't that the same thing, honestly? For every integer of I, which equals to 0, while I is... Hold up, guys. I think I understand. J is my columns, so that is 5. I don't think these are what matters. I think this is what mattered. That is 5. Eh, oh, okay, I see what Sensei means by saying out of bound, because if this was I and that was 4, and I swap these numbers, then basically, once my J is 4, this goes out of bounds. Okay, that's what Sensei meant. Okay, that makes so much sense now. That's how we add rows and columns. Okay. Standard console output. Da-da-da. Okay, perfect. I just want to copy this and check how it works. Okay. Before I try it, I'll go with the Control A, Control V to paste this. If I would hit Control S to save the code, let's see if this works. Okay. I'll go with something like 100, 200. Guys, the presentation actually on peak is like on point as well. Like it looks pretty good. Let's go with 40, 33, 65. Let's just go with something. Guys, let's just go with some random numbers. Okay. There we go. Okay, day 1, that's the total. Day 2, that's the total. Day 3, that's the total. Day 4, day 5. Week 1, that's the total. Okay. Day 4. Week 1's total is 3.5k. Okay, that actually does make sense. Grand total is 5,802. Grand total. Okay, so 5,802 is for all my weeks. Day 1's total. Okay, hold up. That's going to be 2k, 3k, 4k, about 5k. Okay. Daily sales. Okay, I think I see. Honestly, I should work on this more, whatchamacallit, next stream, because this stream I do like gotta go, guys, because I have some college stuff, and guys, I need to study 2 chapters before my, before my next college, which is like in a few days after the weekends. Okay, let's say this is your code. I just copied and pasted it to see how it works. ... I think I see what does this mean. That said, I do want to end the stream right now because I have some college stuff to do. That said, I do want to work on this tomorrow as well. That said, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I end the stream? Guys, I do want to stream, like, I usually do stream for longer, like, before my college started, but since my college started, I don't have that much time. Maybe after my college is over, I could stream for longer. That said, alright, listen up, viewers. Today you saw Vivek struggle, fail, and then master 2D arrays. I did not master it, guys. I did get a good concept about it. Remember, this confusion is just the first step, so to understanding every loop, every index, every sum he fought, well, that's how you become a coding beast. And Vivek, I'm proud, but you don't get too comfortable. Tomorrow we take this higher. Stay sharp, stay hungry, and never think you've learned enough. Of course, I'm not learned enough, guys. How do you get so many views? Honestly, I think it is just like consistency. Like, as long as you guys are consistent in whatever you do, it's just like hard work has a weird way of paying itself off, guys. I heard that somewhere. That said, now go grab the college work, crush it, and come back ready to destroy more. Okay, let me go to my main camera. Alrighty, guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. I did want to stream for longer. That said, I do have some college work. That aside, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like helps with my algorithm, sharing makes me smile, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. And guys, once I get my actual PC, I will start multi-streaming again on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as well at the same time. So if you guys enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. Link is in the description. And also join the Discord. Link is in the description and maybe in the pinned comments. I don't think it's in the pinned comments. You guys could type !Discord to get the link. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream.